I'm Paul,
I'm Devin.
and together we're Dads and Dice, two brand new dads who like to play some games in our free time.
Yep, and today we are joined by our good friend Joe from Board Games for Two. He is here to talk about BGG Spring with us. We are going here in about a week. We're all three very excited. Joe is coming down for it. It's going to be a really good time. We've kind of got this game plan going on that we wanted to really just let y'all in on. We've picked some games that we really like and are really excited for to try, and we think kind of our best strategy is I'm going to learn some games, teach them. Joe's going to learn some games, teach them. Paul's going to learn some games, teach them. So we'll see how it goes. We're today just going to be kind of talking about those games, what we're excited to try, what we're excited to play, what we're excited to see, just what we're excited for.
Yeah, and we're doing this because we went to BGG Con back in November of 2019, and we realized that we spent a couple hours reading rule books and trying to figure out games and watching videos. So we decided this time we were going to be more prepared and just do it ahead of time.
Yeah, that,
So
that makes that makes sense because I feel like the thick games you can't you can't learn them on the spot, and so if you have a little bit time to digest them, I think this will be a good plan. This will be my first con, and looking forward to hanging out with you guys and seeing how many games we can bust through.
Yes,
yeah, and
go ahead.
I was going to say talking about heavy games. I mean, the first game that we have planned is obviously it's the heavy hitter of the year. It's the one that everyone is talking about it. It's all over Instagram. It's everywhere. It's Arc Nova, right? And that game just looks so awesome. Um, but it is a monster of a game, and we really need to plan ahead on that one.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It seems like as of lately, zoo themes have been a thing, and this just looks like it has taken it from the, New York Zoo, you're placing the animals, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying there's no strategy because that game is pretty dang strategic, but it's taken it from having fun, building a nice looking zoo to this is going to be a thinker, right? This is not just your placing animals and this is light and fun. No, we're gonna be really burning our brains on this one.
Yeah, it's been up there on the hotness on BGG for a while, so I'm really looking forward to playing it and really seeing how it plays with three. And after playing it, hopefully they become more available. And if it's good, grab a copy for my wife and I, and hopefully we'll have some good fun with it.
Like you said, it's climbing up the ranks at BGG. It's at number 14 right now. And this game's been out for about a year. And like you said, it's not very available. So just the fact that it climbed those ranks that quickly, this game has definitely got some hype behind it.
Now, I don't know too much about the game in general, aside from the
Hmm.
massive hype and aside from the availability issues. Right, every time it comes in stock, it's instantly out. Within 30 minutes. It's like you got to be real lucky with your
Hmm.
notifications, right? So I know we each have like our own type of player board, and then there's a long community board. Now, is that
Hmm.
community board like is it drafting or what is that aspect? Do you guys know?
Yeah, so I actually got to try it out earlier this week. I went to a preview night at a local board game bar that's going to be opening up, D20 Cafe here in Denton, and I actually got to try it out. They had a copy up there. One of the people had a copy, but yeah, there's this long giant board in the middle, um, and on there's a bunch of different cards that you can draft from. You can draw from there, and really the best way to kind of explain it is it's a mixture of Wingspan and Terraforming Mars, or kind of like your Zoo Tycoon, if you guys ever played that on the PC, right? You're just drafting all these cards and you're just trying to make the most appealing zoo, um, for people, for sponsors, for corporations, for all this stuff, and just drafting cards. You have specific actions that you can use. The actions move down a track, they come up the track, they become more powerful. There's a lot going on it.
So is it an engine builder?
Yes. So there is some engine builder going on there. You're drafting the cards, and then you can sell them. You've got like on Terraforming Mars, the blue cards, the action cards, there's the same thing kind of there. They've got their own blue cards that every time you do this move, you get income, or you can remove tokens, and every time the rounds start over, you get a new piece to put in your zoo. Yeah, you're building that engine to eventually get it to the best that it can be.
Yeah, so I haven't seen too much about the game, but I kind of like what you've been telling me, and I'm kind of excited just to try it out. I like the animal themes, the zoo kind of theme. Engine building is I one of my favorite kind of mechanics. I know Devin, you like those too, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. So what do we got next?
Yeah, we'll do Cascadia. So this is a game that my wife and I really enjoy with two players, and I think with three, us three, I think we'll have a nice, good time with this game. We can probably finish it in about an hour with three. It's a little bit of drafting game, easy to teach, easy to get to the table, and I'm really excited for you guys to try this game.
Man, and I'm a sucker for artwork. I think all the games that I like are games that Shelby likes. We're just constantly going back and forth, like, oh, I need to try that. Oh, I need to try that. And everything that she said about it, it seems like my kind of game.
I know all the rules, and like I said, it's one of those games that we'll be able to easily play, easily teach, to kind of keep some of our brain space open for some of these other games. So I know Devin's got a couple powerhouses he'd like to try out, and I'm pretty keen to try those too.
Yeah, so speaking of powerhouses, I really want to play on Mars with y'all. At BGG Con a couple years ago, Paul and I got to start a game of it, and then the ending ceremonies began, and so everybody left the room, and then there was no kind of getting back together. We were also like literally 2 moves into the game, so we spent like this 45-minute teach, right? Sat down, ending ceremony started, people left, no chance of getting back together. They were
Mhm.
holding tables, but it didn't pan out right. So I'm super pumped for it. Right, it is a heavy beefy game. But that's something I like. It's one of the ones I'm gonna attempt to teach to y'all. I'm going to probably it'll be like all of my brain power to teach it to y'all, and then not be able to understand any of the games you guys are teaching me for a little bit. But
So Vital Lasarda is one of my favorite board
right,
game designers. I don't know too many board game designers because some of them just kind of come and go. But there's three that we have. We have the Gallerist, Lisboa, and Kanban. And I those games are super thick. They're super beefy. There's it may seem like there's only a few choices, but they're really deep. Every choice really matters in those games, and I'm really excited, Devin, for when you teach this game to us.
yeah, it's like the game just seems so cool to me. I don't want to compare it to Terraforming Mars in the sense because they're two on Mars games, but the one or not, but two Mars related games. But the one thing like I like that it's this community board that we're building across the landscape of Mars, right? And unlike Terraforming Mars, where you're terraforming Mars, right? This one is like your encampments would be the best way, and so you're building out like we're in like a suburb of Mars, right? And building
Mhm.
out from that, and it's got this cool tech tree type of system, and just everything about it just seems so really cool, and the different ways of where you actually are because like you have the left side of the board that is your space actions and you have the right side of the board that is your on Mars actions, but you can't be at both places, right? So you actually have to take turns shuttling from Mars to space and back and forth, and it seems like such a really well designed game. And as you said, like I know you really enjoy the developer, and it's to me it's one of those games that like it's almost a bit too heavy for like me, Paul, and our wives to play, right? So I
Hmm.
could never justify buying it, right? I would never get it to the table. But this is the perfect avenue to get to play it and experience it.
And we'll definitely, this is one of those games we'll need to play probably at, the 9 o'clock range where we've had a starter game and our brain power's at the maximum because like I said, the Vito Lasarda games, they'll drain you afterwards. So we'll make sure we don't play this too late at night.
I agree. And going on to starter games, I think a perfect one for one of the days would be the new Azul Queen's Garden. And I know this is one that, typically we throw the easier games for Paul to teach, right? Not because he's bad at teaching, but because
It's
Joe and
because I'm bad at teaching.
yeah, he's bad at teaching, and Joe and I like it a bit more, right? Joe and I are like, we're gonna read this rule book, right? That's just what we do. Paul is like, please give me Rodney Smith and make this less than 15 minutes.
That is so true, yeah. But I mean, I've seen so much stuff about this game. I absolutely love the way it looks. Um, and every single Azul game that we've played has just been awesome, right? Like every single one of them is so much fun. You and I, we got to play a Summer Pavilion whenever that came out at BGG Con, and it still has that original Azul feeling, but just different, right? And so just the fact that they can change it up like that for every couple games, it still feels like that original game, but slightly enough to make it different. And that's what I really like about all of those. So I'm super excited for that one.
And that's what'll be interesting about like the Azul spin-offs is we get to play them at this convention, and I think that's the cool thing. You know, we play them here to decide does it deserve to go in the collection? Is it different enough to go in the collection, or is it just an offshoot of Azul, the regular game?
I don't have very much shelf space, right? Games that are on my shelf are games that I absolutely love that I'm going to keep on playing over and over and over. And just like you said, do I need another Azul in my little cabinet, right? Like if it's different enough, if it's good enough, yes, I will definitely get it. But I don't have very much space. I'm going to be picky with what I get.
Yeah, and you're right, Joe. That is the awesome thing about this convention in general, right? Like when Paul and I did the BGG Con, I came back out of that loving Altiplano enough to get you to get the game, right? And I honestly probably would have ended up getting the game had you not. But I'm glad it's like within, I'll say, our collection, right? Like, cause that game I love, right? I think it's just, I like the deck builders, I like the bag builders, I like the builders, and
And
that came from that, and that was a game that was older whenever we played it, right? It was a game I never would have experienced had I not done this.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Altiplano came out 2017, and it was never in my realm of games, right? All the games that we ever see are the ones that are up and coming. It's the ones that have all the hype. It's all this stuff. And that one didn't. That was just randomly, we somehow found it, and it was just a hit.
So speaking of not in our realm, there's a couple games that I would like us to play and teach, both kind of space kind of themed. The Dune Imperium. It's kind of been on the hot list for a little while. I don't know anything about the Dune universe. I've never read anything, so maybe I don't know if I would be as immersed and as thematic. Um, but we'll see. That may be one of the games that we kind of look up, and the other one would be Beyond the Sun, which is a little bit more my style of the tech tree and the three people vying for a little sideboard while you're trying to progress a tech tree. That's kind of my bread and butter.
Yeah, Dune Imperium. I absolutely love the Doom movie that just came out, right? That movie is so awesome. Um, I think, like you said, you're not so well versed on it, but I think just knowing that I've listened to some of the audiobook, I never got to finish it, but I think that one was just be an awesome game. But some other games that I'm real excited about. I love a good roll and write. Like I've been on this kind of roll and write kick lately and flip and write. Like so there's three big ones that I want to try. And the first one is Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall, the artist is Sam Phillips, publisher's Garfield Games. We constantly talk about Garfield Games and how awesome his games are. And this one just seems like such an awesome game. Devin, I think you'd like it because it's got tech trees, and so something's building off one of another. It's hand management. Like this game just looks like it would fit for us perfectly.
Going into that one, I don't know much about the game. Probably also going to butcher the pronunciation of it, but it's the same art style of his Raiders of Scythia or whatnot,
Yes.
right? So
Yep.
it's that same universe as that. I don't know much about that game. Maybe it's a game we check out because we like so many of Garfield Games' other games, but that was just one of the things I picked up on right away. Is like, wow, that's that exact same art style.
So that game, I believe, is basically a reskin of Raiders of the North Sea,
Okay,
with a couple changes here and there. But it's supposed to be real similar to Raiders of the North
I
Sea.
gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but I love Raiders of the North Sea, so I'm down for playing the Scythia.
Anyway, move on to whatever the other roll and write you wanted.
Yeah, so the other one, and again, it's getting tons of hype. It's Three Sisters. It's a little small farming game, right? And basically, you just have your dice and you're rolling. You're planting vegetables here and there. You just have a nice little backyard garden going on. I think this is perfect for either before on Mars or after on Mars, just something to kind of clear our brain. And then the last roll and write is Welcome to the Moon. So it's Welcome to, it's their
Yeah.
new game. And this is actually a legacy game or a campaign game. So every different round has different rules and stuff like that, different things that you can do. So obviously we don't have to finish the whole thing. I'm up for finishing the whole thing. We have all weekend, but just another kind of easy game to throw in between, all these other ones that we have.
So the only roll and write I've played is Welcome to. So I'll be looking forward to you teaching me more, Paul.
Oh, I'm down. Anytime on BGA, I'm down to play Welcome to. Absolutely love that game.
Okay, so a game I want to mention that I think I'm gonna throw this out and see what you guys think about this. Right? I have never played Root. I've always really wanted to play Root. Right? Um, I don't think Root is going to be a game I'll ever own. I don't think I would ever have a group that would play it all the time. But I think it would be a really cool idea for us to, because Root's kind of a game used. There's so many different factions, or even in the base game, I think there's 4 different factions, right? You kind of have to know how each, because it's asymmetrical, you have to know how each other player plays. If we each pick a faction, learn about it plus each other's faction, and then play a game of Root, right? I know it's a game neither of y'all have played either. I don't know, just an idea.
And I've always seen this game, and it looks cute. Woodland creatures kind of battling it out. And what's prevented me, from getting Root, just like you, Devin, except our caveat is it's terrible with 2 players. It just
Right.
it's when we buy some of these new games, when we look into it, we think of how will it play with two, and then can we expand it? Well, Root seems like one of those games that 3 and 4 is the wheelhouse, and it's one of those games I really want to play, and I think it'll be awesome playing with you guys next week.
Yeah, I'm 100% down for that. I think that's a great idea. It is a game that I've looked into. Like Joe said, it's a cute looking game, but and that's what caught my eye originally when it came out. And then actually getting to read it, I was like, oh man, this is a heavy, heavy game. On a BGG, it's a 3.75 weight. Like that is that's a big one. So I think that's a great idea for us to just learn our own parts beforehand and come prepared. So that way your brain's already full of On Mars, right? How much more Root can you fit on there and some other games? So yeah, let's talk after this. We'll decide what factions we're gonna do
I
and go
already
from
know
there.
what I want. I want to be the Woodland Alliance, the little mouse symbols, only because they're little mice symbols. So just letting y'all know now, you guys can argue over the rest.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Well, I know one of the games I've really been looking forward to and always wanted to play has been Food Chain Magnate. So
Yes.
this is one of those games that it looks so terrible on the table. It looks so bland. You set up a few tiles, it's white, and then you're putting little food, tokens on the board. It just it looks and you're hiring managers and staff. It just doesn't look good until you realize that the managers and staff are like a tech tree. You're trying to steal stuff from other players, and you're trying to, you know, maximize your things. I've never played it, and it's one of those games just like Root where I don't know if I'll ever have it in my collection because of the two-player. I think there's a runaway leader um, that I've seen in this game, but with three and with you guys, I think it'll be fun for a morning playing this game.
Yeah, so I agree. I would love to play that game. You guys both know I have no problem being cutthroat to my friends, and that is like one of the pinnacle games of being cutthroat, right? So I'm very excited for that. I also agree with Joe in that if you ever see that game, like if you walk by somebody playing that game on a table, it is not an attractive game at all, right? Like there is nothing really attractive about it. But I know from the things I've watched, the things I've seen, that there is so much depth in that game. And I'll say one of the perks of renting games from the library at BGGCon is typically, not always, but typically the components are the upgraded components of sorts, right? And that's a game that pays off with because they have upgraded checklist and things for there's the first to make a burger stand or whatever, right? Get something, and they have like checklists to make it really easy instead of having to keep track otherwise.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, that might make things a little bit easier. That's the game that the designer said, what is it? If you can't win on the first turn, why have a first turn?
No, if you can't lose on the first turn,
That's the
why
game.
have a first turn?
That's what it was. Man, that he just made that game to
Yes.
destroy you.
Yes.
He's like a UV, right? Start at -80, claw your way out. You
Yeah.
can lose the very first hand that you do. So, um, so we posted, some people to give us some suggestions on Instagram and
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff like that, and we had a couple, and one that I was really interested in, and I had completely forgotten about it, but it seems like something that I would really like. It's a game called Genotype. It's a Mendelian genetics game. Joe, have you heard of this, or Devin, have y'all heard of it?
I personally am not.
So, I mean, being a science teacher and actually in seventh grade, we teach about genotypes and phenotypes and all this kind of stuff. So I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, man, that would be awesome to bring to the classroom, see if I could like teach the kids. I always try to like incorporate board games if I can. But reading about it a little bit more, it seemed a little bit heavier than what they can really do. But basically, it's just a game with, I mean, you're fulfilling contracts, you're rolling dice, there's open drafting, there's set collections, um, there's tech trees in it, a little bit of worker placement. So it seems like it kind of hits all of our boxes in a game. Um, but yeah, like I said, my favorite game on Instagram, she DM'd us and said that you should try this game. It's one of her favorites. So that's definitely one that I'm interested in trying out.
Let's do that. Any other suggestions that really kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, there was another one, another easy one. It's a push your luck kind of game, and we know that I've been liking to push my luck a little
Mm.
bit lately. But it's a game called Ink and Gold, or Diamant, is what it was originally. But it's just a quick exploration, kind of bluffing, push your debt, push your luck. Um, but again, that could just be an easy, hey, right after we played this on Mars or whatever, let's try that out, or it's midnight, it's 1 o'clock, we've been playing all day, let's just do something quick. But yeah, that was recommended by Lamfgames. Um, he's got some really good content too. So if you haven't checked that out, give him a follow. And then the last one on there was Trekking Through History. And I don't know if you guys have seen much about this game, but I'm interested in history and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And they have a couple other games, Trekking the National Parks. That one came out about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe more than that. Trekking the World. So it's kind of this whole series that they have of games. And Trekking Through History is basically just going to these important parts throughout our history and just having some decisions to do with that. It's set collecting, it's open draft. Um, it just seems kind of like a fun little game just to kind of have. And that was suggested by Unraveled Game Thoughts. Um, so I think, we just throw those in every now or, here and there after we play some real heavy games and just see what we think of them.
Like Joe said, right? We're gonna need those, right? We need we're the type that if we didn't really like plan that out, we would go heavy, 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 and then be burnt out. Like we'd play,
Friday night.
yeah, Friday we'd knock out 5 3-hour long heavy games. Come back Saturday, do one, and then be like, man,
My head hurts.
yeah, exactly, right. So,
Or it would be more of, why does my head hurt?
yeah,
Okay, let's go play the Gallerist now.
yeah. So, man, I think we should wrap this up. But I'm so excited for this weekend. Right, like this is going to be a complete blast. 4 days of just playing games. 4 days of playing games in person. Right, that's a huge
Yes,
thing. Right. Um, we do a whole lot of BGA because that is what we have. That's what's available, and that's fine. We get on this and have fun, but nothing beats playing in person, right? I think everybody
yeah,
can agree to that. So
yeah,
I'm excited to catch up with both y'all and play some games.
for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a blast, and let's all be prepared to be awake for days and drink some coffee and be a little grumpy, but have some fun.
Awesome,
Yeah, I
sounds
think
good.
I think we always just have a good time. I haven't seen you guys in a while, and I just playing games. There's not really going to be a better atmosphere. Like I said, it's going to be my first con. You guys have to show me around and show me the ropes, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good experience for all of us, I hope.
For
For
sure.
sure.
All right,
Awesome.
guys. Well, I think we'll finish up there. Hey, appreciate you guys checking this out. If you have any suggestions of games that we didn't mention, throw them down in the comments. We'll most likely check them out. Again, it's 4 days of board gaming. We're going to play all of these we listed and probably many more. So give us ideas, tell us what you like, and that's all I have. So we'll see ya.